Black Voices, and we are having our Hot Topics discussion. And we've got a lot of interesting topics that we are going to share with you guys. But before we get started, let me introduce myself. I'm Dr. Sharon Michael Chadwell, and I am a member of the Contemporary Black Voices team. And with me today, I have Mr. Bad Guy himself, Mario Salas, who is an educator and historian, and someone new I just met, Ella Winston, who is the founder of a nonprofit called DIMS Discovery Society. So welcome to the team. Now, before we get started, I need to do a little advertising. Again, I am a member of Contemporary Black Voices, which is a segment of the Black Video Network family. So on Juneteenth, at the Juneteenth Festival here in San Antonio, we will be out there handing out these fans, and they do keep you cool on a hot summer day. But we're going to give out fans. I know a lot of our subscribers are getting fans already, and they're also getting these magnifiers, which are really, really good. But on the day of the Juneteenth Festival, we'll be handing out these fans. So come on out to the Contemporary Black Voices or Black Video Network booth to get your free fan. So you guys ready for Hot Topics?
Yes, we are.
So our first person that we're going to talk about is Kim Godwin, who is the former president of ABC News. Now, I'm not going to lie, when I heard that she was stepping down, I said, oh my goodness, another Black woman stepping down because of anti-DEI rhetoric. And so let me kind of give some background about what's going on. So she abruptly announced Sunday evening, and this was May 5th, that she will exit the network, capping a tumultuous 3-year run at the outlet after staffers said her polarizing leadership led to plummeting employee morale. I have decided to retire from broadcast journalism, she said. Now, Godwin's allies who spoke to CNN in recent days argued that she employed a different type of leadership style than the network staffers had grown accustomed to under previous leadership, who had taken a more hands-on approach. But even her allies acknowledged that perhaps she wasn't a good fit for the network. Now, I found out that she was also a Florida A&M graduate. So I called a friend of mine down who teaches down in Florida A&M to find out a little bit more about what's going on down at Florida A&M, and in particular, did she know about Kim Godwin stepping down? She did not know about her stepping down, but what she did know was that she sent out a news crew out to the campus for the graduation ceremony and wanted the film crew to capture the event when Mr. Gregory Germani, who donated $237 million to the campus. Now, the problem with this was that he wasn't vetted. No one found out, no one investigated whether or not this money was really real. Nobody knew anything about him. And the reason why I know nobody didn't know anything about him, because supposedly he's from San Antonio. And anybody that rich, we tend to know about. So everybody kept saying, well, how come we didn't know about him? So I don't know whether this helped her resign quicker because she herself didn't help vet this man herself, or was it a series of other things? So what do you guys think?
Do you think she resigned because she was embarrassed about not vetting before?
Yeah, that's a possibility.
That's an embarrassment. I would say, I'm going to ahead and step away myself. I would do it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, did the guy actually have the money?
No.
Probably not.
Yeah.
It's not even public.
Yeah. Well,
A public trade, on the public trades. So basically, he said that this is worth $237 million.
yeah, that's enough money to make you question whether he really has it or not. Right off the top, I mean, that she made a mistake, apparently.
Well,
But why would she have to resign for that? Make a mistake? I mean, everybody makes mistakes.
well, it might have been the cherry on the cake,
Right.
based on anything else that have happened. Now, I'm not saying that she wasn't a good leader. A lot of people, this is called a spade a spade. A lot of people have a problem transitioning from one leadership style to another.
Yeah.
And so if she wasn't a perfect fit, then that was a problem because her leadership style might not have matched former ABC News presidents' leadership styles. But to me, that's not worth her resigning over either. So there was some other things that were going on that I haven't found out about. The closest I can think about is the embarrassment behind what happened down at Florida A&M, to where it helped escalate her decision. I'm just going to step away from this.
Well, what comes to my mind was, she a bully compared to what the previous administration was like, or is she a little bit more firm? But she, all those times when you talk about changes in leadership style, that's one subject. But then, what kind of leadership change are we talking about? Because certainly you can have a boss who is evil, a bully, and someone you wouldn't want to work with under no circumstances. And then on the other hand, maybe the previous administration was so lax with everyone that they were just doing whatever the heck they wanted to do. And so when she comes along, and maybe not being a bully, maybe just a little bit more structure, they couldn't deal with that. And so it's hard to say what this was really the real reasons for this stuff.
Well,
plus what you brought up, plus she's a black woman. Well, we know about that.
What do we know?
Racism. Well, we know about that. Because in places like that, where you're talking about high salaried people, sometimes the first to go are black folk.
Well, one of the things they were saying here in this article was that she ignored the network's low budget restrictions. So, there seems to me that there's more to her leaving other than being embarrassed. If she was a black woman in charge, was her team prepared for our leadership style when we're in charge? We try to blend in, but we do have a leadership style that may be different.
Do we know how many, what was the ethnicity of the people that she was in command over? I mean, were the majority of them white? Did we go from a white
Leader?
administrator? We did, right? To her. And then what was the ethnic breakup of the people she was now in control of? You always have to look at that, because like I said, racism might be involved.
And then the question comes to mind, did someone in her party say, no, let's look into this guy, and she ignored it? This could be a reason. Someone probably said, there's something not right here. And she probably simply, he's fine, we're going to do this, we're going to continue to support, and now it's blown over.
Because now, even the president of FAMU, he's being questioned on his vetting, abilities. Because somehow, the way my friend was saying, she says, Sharon, this talk about this money had been going on for some time.
See?
So there's a lot of people who are going to be, it's going to be a residual effects on people's jobs related to this donation. But is it a factor that really pushed her to go ahead and retire? It could be, but I guess we'll never know.
Well, we might later down the road.
But
So-
there was a reason for the resign.
So there's a lot of questions leading to her resignation.
We'll be looking.
So our next hot topic, restoring Confederate leaders' names to Virginia public school, to a Virginia public school system. The school board in Shenandoah County Virginia, early Friday, approved a proposal that will restore the names of Confederate military leaders to 2 public schools. The measure, which passed 5-1, reverses a previous board decision in 2020 to change the names of the schools that have been linked to Stonewall Jackson, Robert E. Lee, and Turner Ashby, 3 men who led the pro-slavery Southern states during the Civil War. The board stripped their names after the Minneapolis police officer murdered George Floyd, and now they're reversing it. So are we about to be hoodwinked on several locations now, saying, you know what, if Virginia did it, we're going to go ahead and bring back our statues? Because nobody ever told us that the statues got destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but are we going to start seeing statues like this? What about the statue that we brought out, took down in San Antonio?
Yeah, well, if they were to somehow, which is probably beyond their mentality, but somehow explain that because we're going to shift the name of this building back to some slave owner, we're also going to require that everyone learn who this person really was, as opposed to that just being an ancestor. He wasn't just an ancestor. He was a slave owner, a bigot, a racist. So they didn't want to tell the whole story. They just want to put a name back up there. And he probably not kin to anybody that was raised in hell. There is not any ancestor they even know. They're just saying that, So, raise your hand if your ancestor is Stonewall Jackson. I mean, come on, man. That's a bunch of baloney. So these people were racist. They were slave owners, and you can't make the argument that not everybody believed in slavery back in those days. No, they didn't. You can look at the presidents of the United States who owned slaves, and you can look at the presidents who refused to own slaves. John Quincy Adams, they didn't own slaves. So they're not telling the whole story. And the fact that those names were in your face, that's telling a story. The story that's telling is a lie.
One of the things that always amazes me is the fight to keep the statues, to keep the names, and all those folks were losers. I don't know any Southern Civil War leader who won the Civil War, but they celebrate the losers. And I went to go see the movie Origin a few months back, and I did not know that in Germany, they do not allow any statues, street names, or anything after Nazi leaders.
Mm-hmm.
And you would think that would be a good best practice that the United States ought to take as well. Just take them down. We don't need that memory anymore.
And whose idea in the first place is it to bring this back into the forefront? Let's put their face on all the pictures and the TV. Let's put them out there to say, you know what, you are the problem. You're not, you see where we're going as a unit, and because you see growth, you want to basically repeat history, and it's not going to benefit anyone. Mm-hmm. So we're glorifying idiots, and that's okay, right? It's fun?
Yeah.
Is that what we're doing now?
Glorifying the idiots. So this is part of the stepchild or the child, the prodigal son, prodigal daughter of the anti-CRT, anti-DEI movement.
Mm.
That's all it is.
Exactly. How could anyone with any common sense? Well, you know what? It's not even about common sense. When you look at the stats that show what is the reading level of most Americans, 55% of the population reads below 6th grade level. So it's very easy to throw up Stonewall Jackson claiming he was some kind of hero because that group of people are going to go for it. But anyone that has really done any kind of reading, and of course you're only reading 6th grade level, I mean, what comic books? That's probably too high for some of them. Comic books are too high.
Right, wow.
Yeah, so they're not even reading things that make any sense. And so these school board members, these trustees or whatever you want to call them, they were heavily influenced by a small group of people associated with white supremacist movement to put those statues back. So they're thinking about being reelected. They're not thinking about America. They're thinking about a lost cause. And the Confederacy obviously was the lost cause. They lost. And for them to even make the argument that Robert E. Lee was the greatest general of the Civil War, how are you going to say that when he lost?
Right.
This is where critical thinking skills needs to be taught.
Yeah.
Who was the winner? Who was the loser?
Yeah. Well, and that's why they want to stop DEI. That's why they want to sabotage Black History programs. That's why they want to do all that, because those programs are telling the truth. They want to go back, like Ella was saying, back to the 1950s, 40s, 30s, 20s, back to the 1800s, and teach the lies that they wanted to keep going.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, Virginia, but my eyes on the rest of the country. Are we going to see more movements to restore those Confederate names on buildings and in statues?
And a reminder for our people, let's read so we can research, so we can have the knowledge, so we won't repeat these issues. That's all I have to say on this topic.
All righty. Governor Kathy Hochul of New York. I hope I'm pronouncing her name correctly. Well,
all right. To mispronounce it would be okay with me.
So she made a slip where she said that Black kids don't know the word computer. And I just shook my head saying, no, she didn't. Then she apologizes afterwards. This is something I've seen. You go out and say what you really think, and you come back and apologize. Now, I don't know of one Black child, even in underserved communities, who don't know what the word computer means. Now, she came back and corrected herself. She said, well, some of these kids in the Bronx don't have access to the technologies that will help them make them competitive.
And that's two different things.
Right. Now, I agree with that. But to say that Black kids don't know computers, that's laughable. What do you guys think?
I just think we have individuals in higher powers who are not thinking before they speak. That's what happened here.
Or saying what they really believe.
Ooh.
Yeah, I like that one better.
You like that one better?
Yeah. Oh.
That one, because because it was sitting in there somewhere. They say, "Come on, say it. You know you want to say it."
Dormant, right?
Yeah, we can pick up a lot of white supremacist votes by saying that, and then pretend like we're sorry afterwards. And that's the game they play. They say something ugly, and knowing it's going to galvanize those racists, and then make a false apology, which the racist already knows it doesn't mean it. And that's the way they operate. It's schizophrenic almost, but schizophrenic language.
So as we can see, let me share a story with you. One summer, I did teach students from Africa who were part of the Somali Bantu group and another group. Now, these kids lived out in the desert. They were exiled to those areas. And the Catholic Charities picked them up and brought them back to the United States. And then I think they go through like a 6-week indoctrination. And then they're put into public schools. So that's how I would meet these kids. Now, they didn't have a written language, but guess what they were able to access? Computers. So computers are definitely given to our Black kids. Telephones, those oversized iPad type tablets. They're given the computers. They're seeing computers on the screen. They know computers. So don't say that our kids don't know what the word computer
Let me
means.
say this, Doctor. When anytime I can't figure out what's going on my phone, all you got to do is go find a 6-year-old, and they'll show you. They'll do this. There you go, Mr. Solace.
Yeah.
And a phone is a computer. It's a small computer, and they're that good with phones. They're that good sitting in front of a desktop as well. So I don't know. I'm back to what I thought. I think she said that on purpose and playing a game.
Yeah, I think it was one of those things. It was one of those thoughts that was cooking, and it just came right on out.
Right.
Now we've got one more topic that we want to talk about, and I've saved this one for last. This one is personal to me because I have a son who, he's not the same age as this person, but I do have an adult son. And this is a story about the black airman who got shot and killed down in Florida. And his name is Roger Fortson. He was an active duty senior airman. He probably came in here through Lackland Air Force Base. We might have seen him, but he got shot and killed in Florida. Now, based on the way I'm hearing the story, someone called in saying there was a domestic dispute going on at his apartment. He was talking to his girlfriend on FaceTime on his phone.
It was a loud conversation.
It was a loud conversation, I guess. I don't know. But he was talking to his girlfriend, and he heard the knocking on the door. He is a licensed owner. He has a license to carry a gun. And so he went to the door after I guess the guy said police. He went to the door. I don't know whether he should have had the gun in his hand. That's that's debatable. But he had the right to bear arms. Okay, and he got shot 6 times. And when he was down on the ground, the police officer said, "Drop your gun." The man is already down, right? So when are police officers going to learn to use more discretion when they're knocking on people's doors and not shooting the fire first and ask questions later?
The answer is when they stop really being afraid of us because of what they've done. That's when.
Yeah, that's a good point. And of course, the media, there's the media again. We don't hear the backstory enough. All you're shown is, and we showed that picture a while ago, is a black man standing there with a gun in his hand. He's not pointing at anybody, but he has it in his hand.
It's down.
But we're not shown the backstory. I mean, did he at some point say, I didn't realize there was a police officer. Let me put my gun down.
Because supposedly his last words were, "The gun is over there."
Wow.
So yeah, we don't have the backstory. So if he came to the door with a gun, he hits the ground and he says, "The gun is over there." What happened?
Well, not only that, I mean, from one police officer to the next, it changes. A different police officer could have came to the door, saw him with a gun and say, "Please put the gun down, sir." That's all he had to say. And then hopefully he would have complied, and there would have been a different discussion going on. It wasn't even the thought to say that.
When I was listening to the story, this young man had just gotten back from Kuwait. I'm thinking about all the black soldiers who went out to war away from the United States, come back, and a lot of the injustices that they had to face as airmen, as soldiers who took care of this country, but they come back to the United States and then, things like this happen to them.
Totally disrespected. Even the uniform.
And already the family was saying that they went to the wrong apartment. But the Florida sheriff released body cam video of the airmen, and they disputing the family's claim that the deputy went to the wrong unit.
Well, I got a problem with body cam stuff. what was edited out,
Mm-hmm.
what's not there, what have they allowed to show to the public, and what have they decided to withhold because they're afraid lawsuits are coming down the line. So we don't even know if the footage they showed us is the entire footage.
And as a risk analyst, I have so many questions already. The phone call to dispatch, what was that? Who was that person? Was there any issues in Kuwait where he came back to America and, people in higher places said, this is how we're going to lay out this execution? We don't know. But I have so many questions because why would his last words be, the gun is over there after being shot 6 times? Where's the body cam? And who was the first caller?
And see, there was a woman at the complex saying that she heard, is her telling this deputy there was a disturbance in apartment 1401 and that it was getting out of hand. Now, okay, I cannot help but think, was this a Karen call?
Ooh.
Was this a Karen
Y'all
call?
know what a Karen is, I'm sure.
Yeah, we know who it is. Was this a Karen call where she launched the police to come over there? Now, if he was, supposedly he was on the phone talking to his girlfriend, well, that was a loud conversation if it was a disturbance. But there was nobody else in the apartment. So,
So many questions.
so many questions here. And I hope that they got Benjamin Crump. We may not always agree with him in some of his tactics, but a lot of Black families are reaching out to him to help them in these situations.
By the way, I got a call from a civil rights lawyer that I know of, and Ben Crump taking on a case here in San Antonio. And I believe it was the young man that police officer shot at the McDonald's who was trying to drive off. He just shot him right there. There was no gun. There was nothing. He shot the guy. I think Crump's got that local San Antonio case.
Okay, so we'll have to keep an eye on
Yeah,
that
we'll
one.
have to keep our eye on that
And
one.
that was a power trip.
Yeah, power trip.
But
I got a gun, I can do whatever I want.
Or you're not stopping and you're not doing what I'm telling you to do because, I don't have probable cause, but because I want you to stop and show me your ID and you don't, which he has every right to not do,
Right.
he wants to shoot him. Oh,
and we're going to, and sadly, again, we're in a very, very prolific anti-CRT, anti-DEI environment now. Plus, add the police having immunity to do whatever they want to do. So I pray that the family gets this resolved as soon as possible. No, they won't bring their son back, but come on now, police need to be held accountable. 6 shots at the door, and the man dies, saying that before he dies, saying the gun is over there. Something's got to change.
and is it okay now for me to just call the police dispatch and say, oh, I'm scared. I'm in my home, but I'm scared. There's something going on next door. Please go and check it out.
By the way,
they do that.
By the way, we're talking real loud in the studio right now. I hope somebody next door is not saying there's a disturbance going on over here.
Right.
And then
Yes,
we
let's
all
don't
get
shoot.
killed because of a Karen or a Kevin made the phone call.
Well,
So-
we need to start being Katrina. How about that? Katrina need to come out.
Katrina. Oh, yeah, that would be a good one.
Yeah.
So with that being said, those were today's hot topics. Again, we ask that you like and subscribe to our site. If you have any comments, please post comments on today's hot topics as well as our early morning show. With that being said, we want to thank you. And as we love to say on our show, we are contemporary Black voices telling our stories our way. Ooh,
The leg was getting numb over here.
that's it. If we stay up here any longer,